Kramer.
I have not seen it like this since I went 5 bid for 500,000 shares of Citigroup when I got hit in 1990. This is a different kind of market, and the Fed is asleep.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Well, Bill Poole is a shame. He's shameful.
Hold on. I know
he
you're
ought to go and read the accredited home document. At least I read the darn thing.
Hold on. I know you're passionate, and I hear you, but at the same time, a lot of people are saying this is, yes, there's certain types of mortgages that aren't available. There are all sorts of issues.
You can't get a darn loan if you're rich like me.
But Kramer, if he did what you said, which seems to me from the way you just explained yourself.
Cut the rate. Open the discount window.
Okay,
cut the rate.
If he comes out next week and cuts rate,
relieve the pressure.
You're going to have. That's going to cause Armageddon.
No, we have Armageddon. I wouldn't try to cause it. We have Armageddon. In the fixed income markets, we have Armageddon.
No, but that's not what they say.
We have Armageddon.
They say, even when I talk to a couple banks, they don't say it's Armageddon.
Well,
they say it's repricing. They're very firm about that.
Oh, great. Okay, well, let them be calm and then have them call me on the way home like they do every night and tell me, Kramer, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to help us? Are you going to help us? Are you going to stand on the sideline like everybody else and say that it's fine? Will somebody come on TV and tell the truth about how bad it is?
But a lot of people say, these same people say, it's not Ben Bernanke and the rate that matters. The bond market now is completely separate from the rate.
It's entirely
the bond market is trading separately from the rate.
Look, we'll spend billions in Iraq to build homes. We are going to have thousands of people. We have thousands of people losing their homes right now. 14 million people took a mortgage in the last 3 years. 7 million of them took teaser rates or took piggyback rates. They will lose their homes. This is crazy.
Yes.
I am sorry to be upset about it, but you have to understand what they're saying to me off the record before I come in here every night and every day, and what I hear from these blowhard managers who act like, call someone for heaven's sake. Go call someone. I worked at fixed income at Goldman Sachs. This is not the time to be complacent. Unfortunately, I know too many people, and I'm too darn old.
The banksters seek to further centralize, consolidate, and own as much as they can on this planet, and they will not stop seeking new ways to guide and control us, corralling us into narrower fields of choice, dumbing us down, and attempting to remove our humanity from us. Literally.
Give me the power to issue a nation's currency, and I care not who writes its laws.
Money as paper is a problem because it has no intrinsic value, only the faith of the people and the credit of that country. Today's money is called legal tender, which is a paper fiat currency. Fiat meaning no thing or worthless. When a sheet of $100 bills is printed, the sheet of paper might cost a few cents. With the government printing paper money, it can just issue it interest-free, and as long as it doesn't print too much, or keeps its value pegged to its gold reserves, then the currency can maintain a perceived value with the people. Central banks, however, loan a sheet of 50 bills with the number 100 on them to the US for $5,000 plus interest, and 50 bills with the number 20 on them for $1,000 plus interest. The cost of a sheet is about 40 cents. Do you see a problem with this scenario?
Every $100 bill which the Federal Reserve System prints and is sold to the United States at full face value represents a $100 loan. Even though the government pays for it, they still pay interest.
Whoever's making the money, like actually printing the money, they're the guys that have the control. And it looks like to me like that's a centralized group of people, and all the evidence would point to that.
It's the fundamental thing that our country really can't become a great country without conflict until it gets control of printing its own money.
The government should create, issue, and circulate all the currency and credit needed to satisfy the spending power of the government and the buying power of consumers. The privilege of creating and issuing money is not only the supreme prerogative of the government, but is the government's greatest creative opportunity. By the adoption of these principles, the long-felt want for a uniform medium will be satisfied. The taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest, discounts, and exchanges. The financing of all public enterprises, the maintenance of stable government and ordered progress, and the conduct of the Treasury will become matters of practical administration. The people can and will be furnished with a currency as safe as their own government. Money will cease to be the master and become the servant of humanity. Democracy will rise superior to the money power.
Fundamentally, we need to say, hey, listen, if you're going to be our government, you're not borrowing money to exist. You're going to print your own money at cost, and you're going to give it to us at what, 3% interest? That should be it, or none. We just have to pay back what we owe.
I'll be okay with about 10% of it. I mean, obviously we need centralized, at least in Canada, we need a centralized service for certain things. You know, if the post office, that's fine. I don't mind the post office, and I think that, you know, the government should be making money. The government should be making money.
The backing for our financial system in this country, the backing for our money, is our resources, human and natural. Okay. It's people, and it's what's under the ground, it's the water, it's the air, it's everything. And people have to understand that their resource, themselves as human beings, as resources, as educated, healthy people, that's a measure, that's a resource that's actually never quantified in our, when the government works out the value of what our country is worth. Those aspects of the, as a resource, are extremely valuable. You never have, we should be quantifying it, and we have to realize we never pay that back. Money we put out for education, money we put out for health, we don't have to worry about getting it paid back, because it returns to us by the contribution that the human being makes as a result of being educated and healthy. Those are very important concepts.
The problem is, in order to prevent us from printing our own currency, the central bankers, who basically can print money at will, have bought everybody and bought everything. They've bought the universities, they've bought the media, they've bought the corporations. So our whole society is run by these foreign private bankers who are trying to protect their golden goose and trying to prevent us from realizing that we're paying them money for nothing, for something we could be doing for ourselves.
Well, with major lenders, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, on apparently shaky ground, the top government officials charged with protecting the economy are discussing their options. But as you might suspect, they haven't come up with anything close to a solution for the problems facing homeowners. And this administration continues to insist that lenders are not in a crisis. Kitty Pilgrim has the report.
President Bush, flanked by Secretary Paulson and Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke, tried to calm fears about financial stability of the country's two largest mortgage finance companies, which own or guarantee about half of U.S. mortgages.
Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are very important institutions. We spent a fair amount of time discussing these institutions, and he assured me that he and Ben Bernanke will be working this issue very hard.
The mortgage default rate has risen so high, Wall Street investors are in turmoil over what may come next. Even Secretary Paulson admitting this week many of today's unusually high number of foreclosures are not preventable, putting the estimated number for this year at 2.5 million. Banking analysts estimate it's higher, running some 8,000 a day. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill have been locked in a partisan stalemate for months over foreclosure relief legislation. But at best, the Congressional Budget Office estimates those measures would help only 500,000 homeowners. Some economists say the mortgage crisis isn't over.
We have a housing bubble that's burst, maybe 60% of it is burst, but that still leaves a long way to go, and that's got to hit consumer spending a lot more.
But Senator Chris Dodd, chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, saying today the two largest mortgage lenders were fundamentally sound and strong.
There is a sort of a panic going on today, and that's not what ought to be. The facts don't warrant that reaction, in my view.
Senator Dodd said Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are adequately capitalized and mostly held 30-year fixed mortgages and not risky subprime lending. Now, mortgage rescue legislation passed late this evening in the Senate by 63-5 still faces a big battle. The House has to make changes in the legislation next week. Now, Congress promised to pass this measure before the August recess. That holds pretty little comfort because they also promised to pass it before July 4th. Lou.
Well, in this situation, let's go with the good news. For crying out loud, at least the Senate did pass it finally. And I can't imagine the House failing to at least provide some help. The question is, to what degree that help will arrive in time for literally now millions of homeowners facing foreclosure.